All right, we'll call to order the meeting of the library board for January 24th, 2023. First order of business is the election of officers. And Allison, I believe you have the slate.
Yes, so we would like to put forward for the position of chair Liz. So if anyone has discussion or if anyone would like to second that being put forward.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So I believe, Liz, you are now
I'm
chair.
it.
Congratulations.
Cool, all right, thanks, y'all.
Madam Chair.
Alrighty, so, approval of the minutes is next on the agenda, the meeting of November 22nd, 2022. Are there any additions or corrections to be made?
There were some, and Blair made those, that's why you got the second, the revisions.
Okay,
It was more on the time of the ending of the meeting.
I move that we approve the revised minutes.
okay, is there a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So that passes. There's no public comment tonight.
I didn't receive anything in email either.
Okay, all right, we'll move on to the Friends report. Blair, that's you, correct?
All right, yes.
Okay.
All right, in part due to the thing that we did with the. Hold on a second. In part because I always stumble around to have the numbers. I tried to get smart this time and put the numbers actually in the director's report, so. Those were in the back, they are in the background, but I will just repeat them here for you. The November sales, they did $2,975 all told. That included $1,000 or a little over $1,000 in the basement sales. Nearly $1,600 down at Books on the Alley, the M. Tannery and Sons on Ramcat Alley, the booth they have there. Nearly $300 in the lobby in Walhalla and $60 in the little shelf at Seneca. December included 5 weeks of Thursdays, and they did not take a break. We closed on the Friday before Christmas. They had a sale on that Thursday, the 21st. They had a sale on the 28th, right before, we were open the 28th, 27th, 28th, 29th, whatever it was, anyway, we were open that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before New Year's weekend. And they did a sale that Thursday also. So that plus a Saturday sale in December, they had a lot more opportunities, but, they still did right at $2,000 on Books on the Alley, so that was a lot of Christmas shopping, I'm thinking. They did $2,700, $2,739 in their basement sales for December. And again, remember that was five opportunities plus a Saturday sale, but still. They did almost $400 in the lobby. The online was $149, and then some of their second party that they sell through the guy that they have from the bookstore, that was another $83. Seneca had a little $21 added onto that. So a record $5,411 for 1 month in December.
Wow.
That's pretty
Thank you.
amazing.
That's a new overall monthly sales record for the Friends. They have and are doing for us, I think we are working on those right now, but they have Spanish language kits that they are sponsoring. Those are still in the works because we're trying to get some of the more of the materials. They're coming in kind of slow. They have already decided for wish list money for this coming calendar year. They're gonna give each branch $1,500. And that's just for them to use for a combination of stuff for the public and stuff for the staff, things that they don't normally be able to get through regular procurement channels. Then also they are going to fund t-shirts for summer reading this year. And the staff is going to tie-dye those at the spring in-service on Good Friday.
That's
April 7th, I think that is. So we are getting white t-shirts with a summer campy logo with the library logo from the Diamond Tea. And then the staff will be, and I think some of the friends, y'all are welcome to come, we can get some extra ones. We're gonna be tie-dyeing those as a team building exercise at the staff in service. And then, of course, staff will have those to wear for summer reading for this year. So those are our summer reading t-shirts. The friends are sponsoring those, and they're gonna, I think, get some too for them, so they can wear them, promote summer reading during the summer months with their sales. So they are doing very well, and they are really, really gung-ho to sponsor and work on and fund projects for us. So we are really in good shape right now with the friends, with their sales, and what they're able to kind of take us up to the next level on some of the projects that we'd like to do. They're looking for stuff for us to do, so we will have probably some additional projects coming up with them really soon. Nothing that I can think of right off the top of my head, but we'll be doing some stuff with them real soon.
I do want to mention, there is a bookstore opening on the alley. I'm not sure what month they're going to open. That may or may not have an effect on our alley sales. So it's just something to keep in mind, because it is used in new and used books
Okay,
at the bookstore.
okay.
They're working on that building now, and probably in the next couple of months, wouldn't you say, they'll probably be open?
Okay. Okay. They do also, though, they have an outlet here in Walhalla at the Mountain Mocha store. They do have a shelf there that they sell from also, so, they are constantly expanding, where they think they can have a shelf or a sale or something like that. I know we have talked to them about when some of our gift money runs out on the Little Free Libraries, if they will pick up the libraries, Little Free Libraries, because they also have a bunch of them that they do. But, whether they would be willing to pick those up or not. We are still buying books from them with the money that was donated to us to stock ours now. But then if the donor decides not to give us any more for that, then we will see if the Friends would be willing to pick them up for us. But that's the Friends report.
What is the cost on the free libraries, the little libraries?
Like to get one, you mean?
To sponsor one like that you already have? Like,
I mean,
what
if
does
it's-
that run?
If it's one that we already have, then it's basically just the cost of the books. They don't charge for like the thing, so, I don't know we haven't really got back. We've kind of been replenishing just with some donations, that kind of stuff. We get back to buying, I think when we were buying, we would buy about every other month, and that was $200 or $300, I guess, from books that the Friends had,
So it's about 15 to 2,000 a year?
probably.
Okay,
That's probably about a fair amount.
okay.
I think. And then, if you get a new one, of course, it's either somebody builds it, and then I think there's a small charge to register it with kind of the overall organization, just so they get it on their maps and people know where to find it and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to do that. But it is nice to give the Little Free Library, like umbrella organization, a little bit of credit and get a number from them that you can put on it, so they put it on all their maps and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, if you do that, there's a little charge to that, and then if you buy one from them, of course, it's the cost of the thing plus the registration, so I forget what that is, but I can get that for you. But,
Okay.
yeah, or if I think the last couple they had the, I know they don't call it shop anymore, but whatever, like industrial arts kids at West Oak High School built a couple of their units for them. So you can go that route as well, and then,
Also, when I was looking for a Cooney Cultivation Project, I met with some of the folks from the Hamilton Career Center, and their construction department would love to build
Yeah, I had
libraries.
kind of thought about them.
Yeah, all you have to do is buy materials, but that's a project that they would love to do.
But even if there were organizations or community members that might sponsor, the ones already existing, I'm thinking that would be something to be able to offer when we talk to people about opportunities to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, that's wonderful. So committee reports, Finance Committee, any updates?
Finance did not meet, though. Blair, I didn't know if you could, at least for us, explain, I was confused by that budget transfer, about $15,000 to Thomas Hutton. The other one was Carrie's phone, and I get that. I don't know
Thomas and Hutton is the surveying for
Oh,
the
okay.
ADA ramp in
Okay,
Seneca.
thanks. That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. Policy and personnel?
I'm going to defer that to the director's report when he'll give us an update on the strategic planning that they're working on.
Sounds good. Building and grounds?
Building and grounds did not meet, and I'll defer to the director's report with the update.
Sounds good. Community relations is me, and there weren't many events in December that I do with the chamber. And we're starting our first one back at 313, the coffee gathering tomorrow morning. So we haven't done anything with community relations to report on. All right, chairman's report. Blair?
Well, actually, since you just got elected, I will, if you have anything else you want to add besides that.
The chairman's report, welcome aboard.
Well, speaking of welcome aboard, could we introduce then our new board members?
Yes, that would be cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. New board member, that is taking Beverly Brackett's place. So she, if I remember right, she should have a full term. Sometimes it's if you replace somebody, but since that was a new year, I think she has a full term anyway. This is Tara Weeks.
Hi, Tara.
Tara is the
realized I was
director
the
of the
only
Learning
new.
Resource Center at Greenville Tech.
Sweet. Nice.
nice to meet you.
Welcome.
And you live in, where in the county?
I live in Mountain Rest.
Okay.
Just left 10 years with Clemson University Libraries to become director at Greenville Tech.
Okay.
Nice. I live in
So you
Mount
worked
West.
with Dr. Cox at the Clemson Library?
Yeah, I sure did.
Welcome aboard.
I have an open
Thank you.
meeting Thursday, so I'll see Chris.
Yeah. I haven't really seen him in the past year, so.
So I just realized when I said chairman's report, I went to you because it says chairman. I didn't think about it. So chair, I would like to be referred to as
We
the
can
chair.
change that.
Take the man off of
A
it.
predecessor of yours actually requested that be put on there, even though she actually wanted it.
Even though she was a
to
girl?
be chairman's, yeah. Well, I don't think it was that so much. It's just, she was like, she wanted it to be a little more traditional, but we will fix
I'm
that.
not traditional there. I like
We
chair.
will fix that.
Thank you.
So, could we possibly back up and get everybody's name?
Of
I've got
course.
the list of members
Yes.
and putting some
The
together.
faces, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll start with Paul.
That's all you want to say about that? I'm Paul Hawkins.
I'm Nick McKinney, I'm the Director of Museums for the City of Seneca.
Monica Ellis White, I'm a retired dietitian.
I'm Shelby Henderson, and I wear a lot of hats, but I work with the City of Seneca, Executive Director of Arts, History, Culture, and I'm the acting chair of the South Carolina African American Heritage Commission as well.
Awesome. I'm Allison Addison. I also work at Clemson University, and I live in Seneca.
I'm Cliff Powell, I'm at Powell Real Estate, I live in Walhalla.
I'm Liz Kemmer, live in Mountain Rest. I actually just started my business, Power Organizing. So, there you go.
And I'm Olivia Moran. Oh, no, children.
Yes.
I do
And no,
need
the test. Another test. Tell us her name.
Paul, Nick.
Oh, no fair, no fair.
We're gonna keep her, she's smart.
We like her.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep her on. Yeah,
Welcome
get another
aboard.
term. If you
Glad to
don't
have
pay
you.
us after 4 years, we'll keep you on.
That's right.
Happy to stay.
So the chair has nothing to report at this moment.
Okay.
That's you, Blair, you're next.
All right, for director's report, I'm actually gonna go ahead and momentarily defer to Shelby, and we have, it is on the broadcast and also hopefully on all of y'all's screens, but we do have a conceptual map of Story Trail Park in Seneca.
Yes, and this is adjacent, the property adjacent to the library. It connects to the library. It is the property owned by the City of Seneca. And this is the conceptual drawing of the Storybook Trail Park that will become a reality. We will begin working on that within weeks of this meeting. It is scheduled to begin the first quarter of this year, where we will be laying out this this diagram as you see it and tweaking it to fit in the actual space over at the library. We are working on providing As you'll see, number 1 there, it's additional parking that's behind and to the side of the library, as to not encroach upon library parking. This has been presented to and approved by our city council, and so it is a thing now, and it'll be the first storybook trail in Oconee County. It is going to be geared for the pre-K through 6 age level. Family friendly, of course, and so if you have any questions, I think just ask the questions and either Nick or I can answer them. Has a stage area, has some play areas in there for the children, and this will be also a pollinator park focusing on our butterflies. We're not, and I've been asked this question a million times, are you gonna focus on bees too? No, it's not honeybees. Not doing honeybees, only butterflies. We'll have bees there, of course, because it'll be pollinator.
Right.
But it is geared toward butterflies. Give them a respite on their travels.
It's beautiful, it's so whimsical, I love it.
So Shelby, if with questions, and I have two. One, if we've been talking a little bit about possibly doing some kind of expansion or renovation to the library, does that encroach, or will that encroach on any land we would need for that?
This is only city-owned property,
Okay,
not
so it's
county-owned
not
property.
ours. Okay, then the other thing is, I mentioned this to Blair, and I'm not sure if we brought it up with you or Nick or even Scott. There was a woman on our board back in either the 90s or early 2000s that I seen somewhere, and we were talking about things, and she mentioned something about soil testing back then, and that they couldn't do an expansion back then because of some soil. Are you aware of anything? And Blair, did you find out any more from me, Jody Galden, I guess, was supposed to have been on the board at that time. I reached out to her, I didn't hear anything, but this one was a Mimi, and I can't think of what her last name is now.
I am not aware of
Okay.
anything like that.
Okay, that caught me off guard, and so I was just.
No, I never did see, I went through some of the files that were there in the director's office and things, cause we've got a lot of stuff from back, like different times that they've looked into this expansion in Seneca and everything. I never did see anything on that indicated any kind of problem, like with a perk test or a soil test or anything like that.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't even need, I mean, we're connected to sewer over there, we wouldn't need a perk test. I mean, the only thing I could think of is if it's fill dirt. If the building itself was built on fill dirt, and that would just require a more expensive
Well,
foundation.
we don't have any buildings,
Oh, no, I was talking about
Yeah.
possible
Uh-huh.
library expansion or anything like that, so I
but that would be a
imagine-
county, yeah.
Right.
No, and if you can kind of look at the top of the drawing there, you kind of see a little paved-in space or whatever, that's our existing parking. And then the kind of white space there is the existing library building. Any proposed expansion that we are looking at doing right now is to go out from where that little keystone is down there, where it kind of comes down a bit, that's the meeting room and the back entrance sort of. And if we're just gonna come straight out and, go to, my right, well, it would be your right too, cause you're looking at that way.
Yeah, the parking
Yeah,
area.
okay.
Okay.
Go to the right there and basically just expand out into the existing parking area. Down the road, the hope would be that we might get the county or work with the city to expand some parking on the other side of that for library parking, whatever we would lose in the expansion. And of course, again, as you see there, number 1, they'll have parking for the
And it would be
park.
adequate space to expand that on down into that county property as well. So that would be, I think that would be a great partnership opportunity if that gets to that point, yeah.
Awesome,
So
okay.
anything that we're looking at basically wouldn't be affected by the parking lot.
So that's right.
And again, this is a conceptual drawing that was done by a Clemson University student, actually. So we're very proud, Morgan Sisk is her name, and she's an architectural engineering student at Clemson. She is a junior this year, so she will be a rising senior this coming year. We're really proud of the work that she did with it. She actually picked out all of our pollinator plants as well, and so we have a list of those plants, and she did a mapping of where they should be placed within the park. So we collaborate with Clemson University as much as we can. In the city, we have a lot of good partnerships with them. And this will also be community partnership with some of the organizations that have expressed interest. The Seneca Women's Club has expressed a lot of interest. A lot of the, I met with the let me get their name right, the History Seekers Club up in Kiwi. They're interested in this project. The Daughters of the American Revolution are interested in this project. So this is gonna be a really, really nice community engagement opportunity for the entire county to be involved in this. We're really excited about it.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful design.
Yep, this is really cool.
Getting it within the footprints of that boundary, though, is very important. And so that's what they're gonna be working on when they're laying it out onto the actual space.
Sure, yeah.
And we're hoping it all works out. So it might be squeezed in a little bit here and there, but
It's gonna be wonderful.
yeah.
Okay, just a couple of other things on the director's report. I had mentioned in the written director's report that under State Library, they are, we haven't gotten the official word yet, but I went to the Association of Public Library Administrators meeting last Friday down in Orangeburg, where we got to tour their new library. So, you know, combination impressed and depressed. Impressed with what they had, depressed that we're not gonna get that, but okay. Anyway, but it does look like that they will be replacing Read Squared with Beanstack, which is a nice software to help keep track of summer readings and completions, and then when we have to report to the state library, all the numbers of who was involved, how many programs, how many attended, all this kind of stuff. It's gonna be a whole lot easier for Darcy and DJ to keep up with that using Beanstack. So we're looking forward to finally getting approval on that. They were supposed to, get, a quote, sales figures and all on Friday, I think, and make their final decision, but the state library director pretty much indicated that she thought that was gonna happen. So they are gonna be moving over from Read Squared to Beanstack. So hopefully that will, help us keep better track of our numbers, make it easier for Darcy and DJ. They focus more on the programming that way and not so much on the, Read Squared was very, well, let's just say it wasn't user-friendly. And it was, the idea initially of Read Squared was that patrons could go in and electronically register themselves. It was so clunky and so hard to use that basically we did either paper registrations or online registrations, and then DJ and Darcy just went back and manually put everything in Read Squared themselves, because that was easier than having confused patrons and that kind of thing. Meant a little more work for them on the back end, but it was a whole lot easier for them just to do that, and then their numbers were straight, everything was straight, patrons weren't frustrated. I think Beanstack is gonna allow us, because it is so much more user-friendly, it's actually gonna allow us to do a combination. Like if you wanted to register yourself online, you can. And if you want us to do paper registration, we will do that, because we know there's a lot of people that still aren't completely comfortable with, all online. So we'll do a hybrid, but rather than just having to rely on Darcy and DJ having to enter everything themselves, hopefully we'll be able to take a little bit off of them, using the Beanstack. And then, of course, I had mentioned in my report about the park, so we got a good update from Shelby about that. The other thing I will mention, and of course, this will probably show up from the March, background information, but we did receive a $5,000 grant from the state library out of IMLS funds for an emergency preparedness kit. So I'm gonna be working with, county emergency management to figure out what should the library have on hand. Obviously, the county, if we have a major catastrophe here in the county, they do have, generators and equipment and, all that kind of thing. But the grant will allow us to purchase like generators, PPE, exhaust fans, hygrometers, just, stuff that we could use in the library for a combination of immediate assistance and then, recovery with materials and that kind of thing, plastic sheeting, it's a whole list of things that it'll let us purchase. And once I've had a chance to meet with Scott Crine, the Director of County Emergency Management, then I'll get back to y'all with, some of the things we're gonna purchase. And obviously, we don't have to just save it for an emergency. If we get a generator, for instance, we'll be able to take it to like the, Hispanic festival or whatever and have power, which would be nice, that kind of thing, or some of the other community festivals, that kind of thing. Even if we don't have the bookmobile there, we can bring the generator, so we'll always have to rely on the generator on the bookmobile. So that will give us a little bit more flexibility even with some of our programming, but of course, obviously, then we would have it, at the library. even things like new flashlights and stuff, get everybody kind of standardized. Some of the branches have just, you know, a little 2D light, some of them have a nice 3D light. I mean, it just, you know, depends on what we had or what they asked for, what somebody brought from home they were comfortable with. So this will allow us to kind of get everybody up to a little bit better standard on, you know, what equipment we have in the libraries if something comes up really fast, tornadoes, storms, you know, whatever. But so we have a $5,000 grant from them, and as I said, then once I have kind of I don't have to have approval from Scott, but once I've met with Scott and kind of figured out what he thinks we ought to really get, what we ought to prioritize, then we'll start purchasing some supplies and equipment. So that's coming up. And also, as far as the state library is concerned, I didn't have this when I made up my report, but they have expanded the summer reading grant to $2,000 for summer reading from the state library this year instead of just one. So they've effectively doubled what we can get for our grant for doing summer reading. Now, normally, what we use the summer reading grant for from the state library, we get funding from the Friends. They help out a lot, and that gets us like supplies and a lot of the craft stuff and, you know, that kind of thing. Normally, what we use the money from the summer reading grant for is our entertainment, is our programming. So we already do have the program scheduled for this year. One of them is the Critter Keeper, and then the other one is Pork Chop Productions. So we do have our two major programs scheduled already. They'll be up at the Walhalla Performing Arts Center again this year. This year we're partnering with them. It gives us a much nicer, you know, space plus a lot more room. You know, well set up already. We can have video cameras, we can have audio, you know, and that kind of thing. And then also we can get 500 people in as opposed to squeezing, you know, 50 to 100 into a branch somewhere and hoping that the fire marshal doesn't hear about it, that kind of thing. So that's gonna be another big help for us this year. They're already well underway planning summer reading. I mean, they have been just amazing what they have been able to do. And of course, you've seen in the report, they're just the programming, what they're doing. We are catching up on some of the adult programming. We had a couple of good adult programs. In fact, I think Salem just did their Zoom book club today. And we are sort of catching up with the adult programming. And then, of course, you know, a lot of that will also be in the strategic plan. We'll get to that point and start talking about that. So that is all for the director's report.
Lovely, thank you, Blair. So old business, discuss strategic plan.
Boom, there we go. Okay, so this is obviously, one of the members asked when we came in, is this the plan, are we voting? I said, oh my goodness, no, we're not there yet, we're not there yet. But we have made some progress on it. This is a very skeletal outline, really, of the, you know, what needs to finally be included in the strategic plan.
And will I, if I may interject right here, you know, everybody needs to keep in mind, strategic planning is a very, very tedious process. It includes community input, it includes a lot of things along the way, so it's not something you can just whip up in a few months. So I applaud you for making sure that it keeps moving forward.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, our next step now is to kind of sum up a little bit more of, get a little bit more staff input. I've gotten some input, but there's a little bit more I'd like to get. And then probably our next step is to go ahead and start scheduling, now that we're through the holidays and that kind of thing, start scheduling those public meetings and try to have maybe at least one at Seneca and one at Walhalla. I don't know if we could have one at every branch, but at least try to have one in a couple of the municipalities and get as much input as we can. Try to kind of direct that input, because we do know that, like in past times, when we've just sent out like kind of a overall survey, hey, what do you want to see at the library? It's gonna either be stuff that we already do that they don't know about, or stuff that, you know, we've tried to do in the past, like, hey, let's do computer classes. Well, nobody shows up for computer classes. They want help when they need help. They don't want to show up, you know, oh, well, you need help with this thing, come back in 2 weeks and we'll have a, you know, class on Microsoft Word. They don't want that. So we kind of, you know, are gonna have to tailor the public comment to say, you know, think about these things, and then what else maybe would you like to see, kind of stuff, whatever. So we're kind of working still on a survey, and also, like, if we want to just do an online survey, may be able to do that with our new website, which we'll get to in a few moments as well. And then, no, shoot, I should have brought that up during my director's report. Yeah, I meant to mention, the new website. Anyway, so executive summary, that you can look at that. Mission and vision, I will say this is probably just a placeholder. It really kind of works off our existing tagline, inquire, connect, discover. So we kind of worked it off of that. When we did the strategic plan last time, we kind of came up with a pretty wordy thing that was based on what the priorities were in that strategic plan. And I was kind of trying to move away from that a little bit this time and get us something that hopefully, if we're gonna use that tagline, and it's right there in our logo, inquire, connect, discover, I kind of wanted something that went along with that, so this is durable, we keep this for a while. I mean, if we have a new plan, this is still our mission. Provide the resources and experiences, satisfy curiosity, connect people with their community, encourage lifelong discovery. That's basically us. That's a library. A modern library, that's what we want. That's our mission right there. So even if we change priorities, whatever, instead of always changing our mission statement, this is us. Now, we can tweak that, and staff may have input still on it. I know I've sent this out, they've looked at it, but I haven't heard much back on this particular part of it yet. But, I kind of want it to be a little bit more durable than whatever mission and vision statements we come up with for one plan. So that's kind of where this is looking, and then the vision just kind of fills and fleshes that out a little bit. And then we just kind of went off the initials of the library, OCPL. So outward looking, and I got a lot of staff input. Some of this includes what we talked about in the past, those things that we still wanted to accomplish from the previous strategic plan that we couldn't because of COVID. If you'll recall, and for Tara, the last strategic plan was 2018 to 2020. So we got through 2018, had the plan approved by about September, we're looking pretty good, and then hit March of 2020 and everything went south. There were a lot of things that we had started working on that we were only partially through, or there were some things that we had accomplished, then there was a lot of things we just didn't get to. So this does include some things from the previous plan, as well as some things that we are currently either working on and want to follow through on, or have thought about and will be doing fairly soon. But as you can see, I mean, especially, if you go back to the executive summary, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but we all know that in the current political climate, and as we discussed at the last board meeting, brand new facilities is not gonna happen.
Right.
Sorry, if any of you, thought that's where we were, I apologize. But anyway, so really we are still looking outward and focusing outward, and so basically outreach being a priority. We still do want to try to participate in even more community events, but time and staffing sometimes can be a limiter on that. But definitely continue our outreach. I think we are making a really concerted effort towards our outreach in the Hispanic community. I think maybe we're still lagging a little bit behind on our outreach to particularly the African American community. I think we could be doing a lot more in Seneca, and that's gonna be a focus for us in this next plan. I think we really did have a good focus in the last plan, particularly on the Hispanic community, because we did have the opportunity with the Cultural Outreach Committee that Janice has formed, that we had a lot of good work from them, and so we've just expanded off of that. So we've got some really good outreach to the Hispanic community. Of course, once we got our social worker, now we do also have a translator, part-time as well, that is on staff. So she helps out particularly on Thursdays, but she's gonna be available for some other events. She's gonna be there for our Biblioteca 101 that's coming up in February, which is gonna be sort of, introduce a lot of new people that don't come to the library right now, maybe in the Hispanic community, to what the library has available. And we'll have stories time in Spanish, we'll have some of the actual, people talking about the website and that kind of thing, and then Amy Saylor is our translator, and she'll be there to translate. As I say, I think we're really in good shape with our Hispanic outreach. We just want to obviously continue to expand on that. I think we probably need to do a better job with our African American community in Seneca.
If I may interject, when you meet with Chris, he is going to give you some proposals and ideas. We're doing a joint Juneteenth celebration with Clemson University this year, cities of Clemson and Seneca. along with the university. And so we're reaching out to the libraries to be a part of that. And that may kind of catapult some ideas that the library can carry forward from that point. So I think that this is pretty much right on time. And if I may suggest, instead of making community singular, if you could make communities plural, because there are several communities within the cultural communities that usually isn't recognized, and
Okay.
people kind of look at it as a community when it is communities within the communities. So if that change could be made, I think that would be pertinent.
All right. Also then, put a real priority on maintaining our social work position. Right now, that is a grant-funded position. Now, the Center for Rural and Primary Healthcare has expanded that timeline for us. We were told that was gonna happen, but I don't have an exact, I don't know, the grant was supposed to end May of '23, May of this year, end of May. They have expanded it, but I don't know yet if we know exactly, okay, is that another year, is that 9 months, I don't know exactly what the expansion is. But the goal is to eventually get Carrie Leeper Brock, our social worker, on the county payroll. Or if that's not possible at all, then we've got a really good grant writer with the county, seek out another grant to get her. I mean, our goal is to keep her from now on. Because I think it's already been paying dividends in terms of community engagement and outreach, people seeking assistance with all kinds of stuff, from, jobs to experiencing homelessness to, food insecurity to whatever. And that's an opportunity too, and the grant specifically was kind of emerging from COVID, so still an opportunity for us to tell people about, get a COVID vaccine, now get a flu shot, with all the flu and RSV and everything else that's out there. Of course, we did hire a Spanish translator, and once the grant runs out, she actually is going to be continuing to work for us. She is a part-time person through Staffmark, and we're gonna be able to keep her on board no matter what. Obviously, we wanna keep Carrie on board too, so they're really a package deal. I don't wanna have one without the other necessarily, but we eventually, once the grant runs out and we're not paying Amy from the grant, we'll be able to pay her through Staffmark. So we've pretty much already gotten a position for Amy as well. Have the bookmobile at more events, and of course, I don't know whether it necessarily belongs there, but really an emphasis on our library things. And then the C, community focused, again, and we will change that also with communities as well. Also continuing to assist with initiatives like Healthy Oconee Coalition, broadband initiative, which we're just really hearing about. We haven't even really got there yet on that, but we're gonna try to leverage, hopefully, not only what the county already has in terms of the fiber backbone, but also hopefully working with Upcountry Fiber and some others to really see if we can, get broadband to be more of a thing. I am still working. As of last week, I spoke to Kim Wilbanks here, that's with our county IT, who had been working with the Focus, which was when the county still controlled the broadband. We are still working to try to get the Wi-Fi up in Long Creek and Fairplay working again. The library did sponsor having, a Wi-Fi hotspot in Mountain Rest, Long Creek Community Center, and also down at Fairplay, kind of their little community center back behind Diamond T in Fairplay. There were some technical issues with the ones in Long Creek and in Fairplay. Trying to get those fixed, haven't been able to get a hold of somebody. We're not sure whether it's still One Tone or Upcountry Fiber. We kind of go back and forth. So Kim has been trying to get a hold of somebody for me, but she's not gotten much further than what I did when I was emailing the person that was with One Tone. She promised me that she would continue to reach out and also maybe try to find somebody else to reach out to. So we have not given up trying to get those 2 Wi-Fi hotspots fixed. The one at Mountain Rest does work. They had made repairs to it before, changed out the equipment so that it was right up on the pole and not inside the building, which we think it kept getting struck by lightning and issues and that kind of stuff. But when they put it up on the pole, it's still working at Mountain Rest. But the other 2 were still the interior units, and I'm sure people shut the power off or it got struck by lightning. I mean, it's just never really been able to work for us. So that's the thing we want to do. And then continue adding new partners. We have been working with the Oconee Food Council. We're working with some of the different things there. We may see if we can incorporate more like cooking and things. Working with Healthy Oconee, one of the things that they're going to be focusing on, they've got a pretty big grant, and they're going to be focusing on diabetes and diabetes education. So we're going to probably work with Oconee Food Council and some of the other ones that are on Healthy Oconee Coalition to see about getting some programming at the library. So that'll be a thing. And also, we are, haven't heard anything from Kyle Reed lately about our parallel parking at the Walhalla branch, but really looking now at some opportunities. Staff has said something about maybe having a different building or an amphitheater or some kind of something on our vacant lot over here in Walhalla. So we are gonna be working on that. And then under the P part, people, this both internal and external focus. Internal communication, especially to the branches. Some of that did suffer, especially during COVID when Sue Andrus, the branch services librarian, wasn't able to go out and make as many branch visits and that kind of stuff. Really do need to try to get some of that going again, continue to kind of work on and expand our training opportunities. We're also, I don't know, maybe I should have put volunteers up under that, but we are really gonna be kind of redoing our whole volunteer program as well, kind of treating those more like job applications and job opportunities. If we have a specific need, we almost like advertise for it, but instead of a paid position, it's a volunteer position. And then we're gonna do some additional training for that. External focus, well, actually, this is a place where I can kind of bring it in. Re-emphasis on some of our branding. We're not gonna rebrand again, we're not gonna get a new logo, we're happy with the logo for now, very much so actually. But we are gonna tighten up and really streamline and professionalize our branding, our website, social media, signage, that kind of thing. And so on that, let me just quickly bring in something we're very proud of. So this is our existing website. We've had this website since 2014. It replaced something that was just provided by TLC, which is our automation provider. It was fine, but it was certainly clunky and wasn't very great. So we got this. This was much more user-friendly, both for the person who maintained it, me, and for the public. But it's a little dated. We've kind of outgrown it. With all these new initiatives that we're putting through and that kind of thing, we've kind of outgrown it. And as you see, I don't have a lot of real estate on the front page to do a whole lot, so then it kind of got, these menus got a little longer and a little more. So, this is the new website.
I love it.
So we have only a couple things on there right now, but, obviously then that will get filled in. These buttons here, they're all of our databases that we pay for, and some things, the Discus is there as well. But now instead of sending you out to a LibGuide, which is what I have to do now, to look at the instructions and that kind of thing, now they are all right here,
Thank you.
right here.
As somebody who has looked through all this, thank you. This is really great.
Now, I'll have to tell Bethany, that doesn't go away, right? It's supposed to go away, but anyway, okay. And then, okay, how do we get a library card? Right there.
Nice.
So, some really good stuff there. Of course, visit the library, where are we? Right there. And then our calendar finally is right here
Nice.
on the website. No more me uploading a PDF that isn't accessible and all that kind of thing. Now the calendar is right here. And also, you can limit it by, hey, I only want to see Salem events. Everything else grays out and all you see is Salem.
Very
And when you hover over them, there's the event information.
Fabulous.
As opposed to right now where you click on the calendar and as I said, it's a preloaded PDF that I have to upload and it's not accessible. anybody who, you know, has disabilities who accesses this, they just get, you know, the image data or whatever that says, hey, it's a PDF. So and this also for the back end, this may not mean much to some of you, but for the back end of this thing, we use Eventbrite. It's a third-party site. We use Eventbrite to register folks for some of these that have either limited like seats, or we need to know ahead of time because we gotta buy craft supplies, our knitting, or, you know, some of the other kind of programs that we run. Well, this is integrated with Eventbrite, so when they enter an event in Eventbrite, all they do is click on one thing and it populates into the calendar.
Nice.
How does this look on mobile? Have you-
It, obviously I can't show you, but I mean, if you wanna pull out your phone, but we have worked specifically, on the back end of this thing, it shows us different aspects. Down to a laptop, down to a tablet, down to landscape on a phone and portrait on a phone.
So it's mobile friendly.
So we have basically, and there are places, there's really no way to show you,
Is this live now, this website, or
no,
No, so I couldn't type in the address and get to it on there, because
The URLs.
the URL, okay.
Yeah.
Because I would say that probably now, and y'all probably know these numbers better than I do, but probably 60% or more of people only look up things on their phone or on a tablet or something.
But most of your new URLs and websites, they make it automatically mobile friendly.
Oh, yeah.
There's very few
I'm
programs now.
gonna try this, y'all bear with me just a second, I'm gonna try this.
Experiment.
I'm scared.
Well, she has it up right now on her phone. It's fine.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Oh, that looks great. Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah.
I was just curious, I didn't mean to.
And the
That's true
calendar
though, because you're right.
And it does translate to
Yeah.
English
If it's
versus-
new, it's probably gonna be mobile friendly. I don't think they make
Well,
any that
now
aren't
this is the
anymore.
back end. Y'all don't, this is
back
gonna
end.
bore you to tears, but. Let me give you an example,
So you're still managing it?
partially. Alright, here's an example. Along the side over here, you can see, it gives us the breakpoints. See,
I
those,
don't think
those,
anything would be new.
those, buttons change. If you'll notice, they
Okay.
have fancy graphics on the ones for like computer monitors.
Okay,
You go down here and it automatically changes the buttons just to be buttons.
okay.
So that,
Streamlines it.
now, that blank spot you're seeing, that won't show up obviously on the website. This is behind the scenes. That actually, we built in a space that we could put like more immediate announcements. Hey, you know, such and such library's closed because the bathroom's clogged, or
Oh, good idea.
the pipes broke, or, you know, whatever. So we have a place in there where on this one you can see it. That's a little container for us just to put in a little scroll or some kind of thing for immediate
Well, that's
announcements.
kind of built in.
So you don't see that obviously on the other one,
Right.
but on the,
Just updated our websites.
other version,
On the
but
template you can.
it's
you have
there.
So much.
So let me take you back out where you can actually see the site itself. Okay, so,
So
see, and then you don't see that, but there between new arrivals and the buttons is a place where I can put stuff if I need to.
That is
I
awesome.
will say that overall, I'll be managing this, but I could not have done this new website. Really, all the credit goes to Bethany Culp, who's our current cataloger or kind of head of technical services. I mean, she's not the librarian technical services, but she's taken over that department. So, I mean, she's done the bulk, pretty much this whole front page and everything is her. She's done almost all the graphics, all the stuff and everything else, and this is while she's making sure that all our books get cataloged. I mean, nothing has slipped, a branch hasn't called and said, hey, we didn't get the bestseller for da-da-da in this week, da-da. So she's done that all while she's cataloging.
That's neat.
Well, it's very clean, it's user friendly, and I applaud the
And
library.
the other one is Darcy, in addition to all the programming that young lady has done, Darcy Arnold has also been, she and Bethany have done the bulk of this. I created a couple of the pages and we've consulted, you know, I've kind of made sure, you know, I worked with our vendor to make sure everything worked on the back end or whatever, but they built the bulk of these pages. Friends of the Library,
Oh, cool.
Bethany built that one. locations page, Bethany built that one. I mean, the kids, this is awesome right here. Because all those buttons change to be kid-friendly. Darcy built the whole youth services. And then there's the calendar again, and then these resources are strictly the kids' ones, like Bookflix and Teachables that we get from Scholastic. There's all over her, like YouTube stuff, all the stuff that she's put up, and then that book, stream is particularly the children's books that have been added.
Click on one of the YouTubes, Blair, if you can. Does that monitor where it goes at the end of this? Or is it subject to go out to general YouTube?
You touch the YouTube. If you touch where it says YouTube, it will take you to YouTube. That's
Yeah.
usually how it goes.
Yeah, you can also just expand it full screen, of course, but, I mean, yeah.
No, I mean, when it
honestly,
goes to the
know she
end, I know
knows
you
that.
can click on
don't know
YouTube, but I
that
mean, when
she's
it goes
got
to the end.
Like what's gonna play
Yeah,
after.
I
Yes,
don't know
yes.
if she's got it limited. She may have it to where it just
Stops.
returns you right.
That's my question.
Right, that's a
I
good
don't
question,
know that
actually.
for
That's a
sure.
good one, yeah.
Can you
Since it's in the
fast
kids'
forward
side.
and
Right.
find out?
Yeah, you might
I like-
wanna be
yeah.
careful of it suggesting to play something else.
Right, right.
True.
And I think she's probably got it, I haven't played one through yet, but I think she's got it limited to where it just, that's it. It doesn't-
Yeah, that would be my only question with that.
Yeah.
Good one, good question.
But anyway, so as I said, and then, you know, of course, and again, all of our databases and things, and then,
It looks great.
library of things, the stuff that we already do have, the kits, the literacy kits and all that kind of stuff. Bethany built all of this. All of this.
Still homeschooling.
On,
The library of things, again, I'm not even sure if, I might have mentioned last time, but we do have the Children's Museum passes for the Children's Museum in Greenville. We are also adding county park passes. I just got that done with Bill Shirley, the head of PRT for the county. So we are adding county park passes. I've got them, we just don't have them cataloged and in there yet. We were waiting on the little plastic sleeves that they're gonna go in. The same thing as the state park passes. I just did get word today, we're gonna get our new state park passes for this year, for '23, probably next week. So we will continue to have state park passes, children's museum passes, county park passes, and also Georgia state parks.
That's
We are gonna
awesome.
get them because of some of the ones that are close in proximity to just over the state line here.
Right.
So Darcy works, since Darcy actually lives over in Georgia, she worked with, their, Parks Department to get us some state park passes for Georgia,
So that allows for what?
that allows our folks to go over there and use, now, it's not quite as good as the state park passes that we have, because we pay for the comprehensive one. I think for state of Georgia, just to kind of try it out, it's the tier where you can get in, but it doesn't get you into some of the programs
Okay.
and all that kind of stuff. But you do get in, and then there's some special, like for the South Carolina one, since we pay for the comprehensive, you can get into, Atalaya Castle at Huntington Beach State Park. You can
Okay.
get into some other stuff. The Georgia one probably won't have that. We'll gauge the popularity of them. If they take off and then people say, well, I went to this thing, because the ones that are kind of around us don't have any add-ons. The ones that are kind of closest to South Carolina don't have any add-ons. Since Darcy lives over there, she knows most of them, you know, it was pretty much, we could do that. So we're starting off with just sort of the more basic one. But if they do get popular, and if people say, hey, I went to such and such and I had to pay a little extra, then we might look at, you know,
Expanding.
usage numbers,
Uh-huh.
going with the full, you know, the full-fledged ones.
Okay.
So yeah, just really, across the board, I mean, we have, there's the telescope and the microscope that we still have that we lend out. Of course, just as we add a bunch of things to this, it'll just get bigger. So I just can't say enough about what Darcy and Bethany did about our website.
quick question, I know this is dumb, but I know that a lot of people have checked things. If you're just going on the website to see what time we're open, what's the easiest way to figure that out? If you go to the main page, where do you go?
Probably the easiest thing is under
Services.
locations,
Good location.
Locations and all that.
yeah. Or I think,
Well, it would be according to what location you're looking at going to would be the times, right?
Right, right. I think it would be.
So again,
I
that
would get
visit the
locations.
library.
Because it's right there.
Yeah, it's all- yeah.
well, yeah, I was gonna say,
Good
actually, I
question,
think
though,
probably the easiest thing is when they say, hey, visit the library.
Perfect.
And
Okay.
again, you know, keep in mind that does scale, so on mobile, that button, it's
Right.
not the symbol anymore, but that button is still there. So, yeah, if they're looking to come to the library, the easiest thing is gonna be, hey, visit the library.
And it takes you
There's
right
the
there. That's
locations, the
perfect.
hours, the phone numbers, those emails work, so if you wanna email the manager of a particular branch, there you go. Comes
Is-
right up with the Outlook.
Is the bookmobile schedule also a new accessible calendar? Or is that I noticed a link down at the bottom.
Wow.
Oh, and it's got a schedule too.
That's where that link goes to from the locations page, is to this page.
A book
Where
real
it's
schedule,
bookmobile
there you go.
schedule, yeah, I'm curious where that link goes, okay.
Right there. Ah,
Well, now that's one that's not working yet.
Okay.
That's,
But is
that's,
that planned to be
we're kinda
accessible as
last,
well?
but it'll take you to
The page you were just at that showed
the
us
other
the
one,
schedule.
yeah, that
Okay.
showed the bookmobile.
okay. Wow.
I'll have to let her know that one's not plugged in yet.
Is there a time frame on when this will launch?
Yep,
Okay,
next Wednesday,
wonderful.
1 February.
Well,
Actually, it's a
please,
good thing we're going through this because I'll, bug fix a report back tomorrow, but yeah, this is.
extend our hats off to everybody.
Please, yes.
I will do that and thank you, for that. Anyway, so just to sort of finish up the, strategic plan stuff, that's, again, in library facilities, we know there's not gonna be a lot that we're able to do. But again, not only, we do know that the ramp is gonna happen, I am still working on hopefully the expansion of the meeting room. The last thing I got on that is that there is the possibility of a fairly nice sized grant out of remaining ARPA money and some other opportunities there that we might be able to explore. We are working with the folks over in Westminster, in addition to the Seneca Park, they are working on the park that's adjacent to the library over in Westminster as well. There is probably gonna be some space there, a small amphitheater for outdoor, we might be able to do outdoor story times there, as well as the Story Trail Park in Seneca, and so we are looking at working with them. I know they've gotten some money already for their facilities and gotten approved stuff, so, really gonna be working with all the municipalities, working with, Walhalla. I think I'm gonna find out on Thursday, but I believe they've already approved the Hispanic Heritage Festival for this coming year, as well downtown. So just again, continue to work on, outreach, building our library of things. I mean, if there's just takeaways from this very quickly, it's just, improve training and staff communication, work on our library of things, work on and continue to expand our outreach, going into the new communities, and also, just continuing to have a presence. So that's where we are so far. And as I say, as I get more staff input, and then as we start working on the, put up our lovely new website. But as we start working on the, getting the last bit of staff out, input, and then getting that community involvement, of course, you'll be hearing a lot more.
And with the strategic planning, as far as the African-American communities are concerned, I suggest building a good relationship and a stronger partnership with the Blue Ridge Community Center and the Oconee Branch NAACP. And that will probably get you the inroads that you need to build that program as well.
Yeah, great idea. Good deals. Did you have any more to discuss about the building project?
No, I was gonna say, that kind of, that was one-stop shopping for old business, so that kind of covered our building projects as well. I have been working with Brittany Martin, who's the grants writer for the county, so I think the 31st was the deadline on that one. It's $250,000. I mean, that's not gonna pay for the expansion all the way, but it'll probably pay for most of the engineering and all that kind of thing.
For a possible expansion on Seneca there.
For the Seneca expansion.
Did we talk about square footage or what y'all need?
I haven't, honestly, I've been trying to reach back out to Kevin Shoemake. He's the engineer with Thomas and Hutton. And I haven't been able to get in contact with him yet. So I was kinda hoping maybe he would have had a chance to, he came and looked, but they hadn't done any kind of drawings or anything yet. I don't know if he even been out to survey, other than to survey like the front for the ramp. I don't know that they've done any work back in the back at all, so.
Well, what does the library need? Cause, you know, he'll need to take into account what the needs are there, whether it be meeting rooms or more catalog space or what.
It's meeting rooms. We
Meeting
need to
rooms.
expand that meeting room and carry out the bathrooms so that we can expand those and make them truly ADA. They're fine as they are. I mean, they're ADA, they're grandfathered in, they work, but they're not spectacular. And really, you know, for the usage that we hope to have and take advantage of, leverage what's going on back there at Story Trail Park. Ideally, what we'd like to see is expansion of the meeting space there and bathrooms, and that would also sort of clean up that whole hallway where the bathrooms are now and expand that out to where you can actually get in and out. You're not limited by the fountain sticking out in the hallway and that kind of thing. And just have a nicer meeting space where we can have, you know, larger programs, story time, where HOAs and others can start having their meetings there again, because for our busiest branch, it's our smallest meeting room. Actually, Westminster's meeting room is bigger than Seneca's.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, I took to heart, again, hearing from Emily that Jason, they're wanting to get him to come out on the maintenance issues. I mean, in the meantime, I mean, it seems like any additions are not gonna happen for a year or two. Is there something as a board we need to do so that the maintenance issues are addressed? I just feel like I keep reading it, meeting after meeting about that.
Seneca is also the oldest facility, probably more so than any of the others. It has issues, some issues sometimes. And I know, like, anything there in the front, pretty much I don't think they're gonna deal with until this ADA ramp. I mean, there's no sense in fixing the brickwork out there if they're gonna tear it all out for a ramp anyway and that kind of thing. I mean, there are some things there. I don't think it's neglect on the part of the facilities maintenance, quite honestly. I think it's just that building is older and kind of tends to have more problems, and sometimes things don't crop up until, you know, it kind of surprises them, you know. I mean, it's not like Emily's not paying attention, and I know she's putting in the
Right.
work orders and that kind of thing. And then it's also just too, you know, they also have limited staff, just like we do. I know they've hired one new position fairly recently, and I think they're still looking for another one. So they get to stuff when they can, and they've been pretty responsive here lately, so.
Okay. Well, it just, every time I read the board background and you get to Senecon, it's like, okay, what do we got?
Well, that being our oldest building and, you know, where it is and everything else, there probably are more needs for that building, and there's some things that they can do immediately. And then there was some things like, you know, getting a new roof a couple of years ago and that kind of thing that just, they do take long.
Let me ask you this, if we want to move forward with this expansion, do you think it would be prudent, or do you think it would be the best step versus waiting on the engineering to be done, is to approach the county about, doing an expansion, or do we need those drawings?
At this point, I do kinda wanna wait, especially since hopefully I'll have that this week or next week. I think the grant was due on the 31st, and then I have to get a sort of request to county finance to be included in this coming year's fiscal year discussion, so 23, 24. And hopefully I'll have at least sort of a round number from them before I have to get that in. So probably then, once we put that in and they see it in the budget, then that's the time probably to start talking to people on county council and find out how they feel about it. And also see, I mean, if I can get the $250,000 grant, then that'll at least get us that next step. We can get engineering, then we'll have probably square footage and drawings and, you know, whatever.
But $250,000 in engineering would be absolutely, I mean, if we're talking like,
No, I mean, we'll use that for other things. It's
Right.
not all just for engineering, but I think then I know I've got it. As
Right.
opposed to, I don't get the grant and I have to go ask, I mean, it was $15,000 or $18,000
For
just
the
for the
ramp,
ADA ramp.
right.
You know, for, drawings and expansion and architectural and all that involvement, I'm guessing that's gonna be probably close to high five, six figures, I don't know. You would know better than I would, I guess.
Well, whenever it's the government paying for something, it's always a little bit more, but I wouldn't, yeah. You know, as bad as that
So,
sounds.
I don't think the whole 250, but that would get us there. That would, we know we have that plus then if we need, you know.
Yeah, well, if we had something rough, we could probably get something rough pretty cheap.
Yeah, I think we could probably at least get like square footage, and maybe a couple drawings or something like that, and I don't think it'll be that much. I mean, if they start have to do a lot of surveying and that kind of stuff, that's a little different, if they start doing site work, but, just to get square footage and some drawings and that kind of thing, hopefully I can get that from him fairly soon.
Can you let us know when you do
Will
get
do.
that, and
Will do, I'll send that out. As soon as I have any information back from Mr. Shoemaker, I will make sure that you all get that.
The Building and Grounds Committee Chair now.
that, if you can, exactly.
All right, so we're on to new business. Okay, so the first item is vote on vice chair, treasurer, and secretary. And Allison, I'm not sure, did you have a plan?
Monica agreed to again serve as treasurer and secretary, so we have her on the slate for that. And we do not have anyone slated for vice chair, so that is open
Okay.
to anyone who is interested.
Is there anybody interested in being vice chair? It's not hard, I just did it.
But I think that, to be totally honest, the goal is that person at some point might become the chair, much like you did, so.
Right.
That's the scary part.
I'm following Allison, she's such a great leader. Just following her steps. Well, can we go ahead and just vote on treasurer and secretary first? All right, so, Monica has been nominated.
I'll second.
Okay, second, everybody agrees? Aye. Anybody disagrees? You're it, Tag, you're it. Thank you again for doing it again. So vice chair, we need to fill that. Nobody wants to do it.
Well, have you had this experience before? And I only ask you, Allison, because you've been here before, and Blair. How do you handle that?
Well, I mean, if nobody, you hate to put anybody on the spot. If nobody wants to step forward, then, we can defer it, honestly, since it is vice chair. I mean, basically, the role of vice chair is to fill in if the chair is not here, for one thing.
Okay.
And then, of course, I guess there kind of is an expectation that the vice chair will eventually move up to vice chair, to chair rather, although that's certainly not necessary. It's not in the bylaws right now, and it is in the bylaws that the chair can serve a second year. But it's not really in the bylaws that it's necessary that the vice chair takes over. So essentially, the role of the vice chair is mainly just to serve as the presiding officer if the chair can't be here.
Okay, so we
But
can
if
just.
we don't, I mean, if nobody, like I said, I don't wanna put anybody on the spot. If we don't, we can defer that,
Okay.
Either till, later on and have a vote electronically, or we can defer it until the next meeting. Hopefully somebody will feel, compelled to.
I move that we defer that to
Behind
the
it.
next meeting.
I'll try it.
Oh, okay, we have a volunteer.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
What are you seconding? There's two
All in
things.
favor?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's do this right.
Fine.
Let's do this right. There was a motion on the floor, so we need to rescind that motion first before we start seconding something.
I didn't realize there was a motion.
I moved.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
To-
I didn't hear you.
You move to defer till next time?
Yeah, so how do I rescind that motion?
Dies for
I
a
move that we
second.
rescind
It
the
dies for a
previous-
second, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if there's no second, then
Yeah,
it
no
dies, but we gotta
second, it
carry that
just-
through, yeah.
No second, it just died.
Okay,
Okay.
now we can do the next thing.
You gotta say it again. We can't get him to say it twice.
So why don't you move that he, yeah,
I
nominate
move to
him?
Well, I
nominate,
think Nick seconded it, since there was a.
Yeah, but
since
it was a
a
crossover,
nomination,
so let's do
he
it
can
right.
self-nominate, Nick can second.
Yeah, okay,
you self-nominate?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll second his nomination.
okay.
Awesome.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed?
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Thank you for being a good team player.
So the next item says change and reconsideration policy to include that the person making the request must be a resident of the county and that complaints must be originated by residents. So
All right.
I'm not sure about this.
This is, let me give you a little background on this. This is in response to a lot of what's been going on with book challenges in some of the various counties, in South Carolina. And so you hope most book challenges are organic. Somebody in your county goes in, sees something they're not real thrilled with, they, go through our process, our reconsideration process, which is to file a form that comes to the director along with the staff makes a determination, like if it's a kid's book, I read it, Darcy reads it, we make a determination, and then if that person is not happy with our determination, then they may appeal to the board, and then the board considers it, and that's pretty much it. If the board says it stays, it stays. If, the staff says we should move it, and they don't agree with it, then they come to you guys, say, no, they should move it to another section. The board is the final word, okay? The thing you don't wanna have happen, though, and what we are seeing, is you don't wanna have a situation where you have somebody that is in, let's say, Columbia or another county, and they're on a campaign. I don't wanna see this book in any library in South Carolina. So they either file the request themselves, or they get somebody to file the request for them, and it's very mechanical, like, hey, we're doing this and we wanna do it in every county in the upstate, or every county we wanna do it in Pickens, Oconee, and Anderson. Well, they don't live here, they don't have a stake in it, but they have a problem with this book being in the library, so they want it, hey, let's get Oconee while we're at it. So what this does is just makes it to where it's sort of like the legal precedent where you have standing. If you're an Oconee resident and you put in a request and we look at it, now, I've had book reconsideration requests that were ridiculous, they read 2 pages, they saw a bunch of curse words, they hated it, and they wanted it removed. We said no. And then I've had book challenges where somebody was very thorough and put in, like, what was their problem with it, yes, it had these good points, da-da-da-da. And in some cases, I can't recall a case, there was one case where I actually did remove an item, and it had problems. But in most cases, we've either moved it from like children to young adult, or from young adult to adult, or something, based on kind of where we thought it should be. Maybe it was a little mature for kids, or that kind of thing. We had one of those relatively recently as well. But like I said, what you want is it to be organic. It's a person who lives here in Oconee, who has a stake in what's going on, who pays taxes in Oconee County. And so they, have some, again, standing to say what they want, or what they want changed, or whatever. And just not have this, sort of form lettery kind of reconsiderations that come through, maybe that, we might start seeing from some groups and things that are doing this across South Carolina or across different areas or whatever. It's not that we won't take any reconsideration requests seriously, but we want them to, just be residents and have some standing.
Yeah, sounds great. So you made that change with the.
What is this
we don't need to
asking
act
us?
on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a policy change. We will need
Okay.
a vote on that.
Okay.
Did the
And also,
attorney,
the second part of that, just that, complaints be, originated by residents, that's just also where we don't wanna have somebody, I'm part of, I don't know, whatever group, so-and-so for book banning or whatever, and come in and get some county resident to file it for them, that kind of thing. If we can tell that that's the case, now sure, if somebody files, I don't know necessarily, but if we see something like Facebook groups and stuff, there's a lot of stuff out there right now, and if we see that this is one of those mechanically generated things, there's people doing this in every county or whatever, then we may not follow it through, or we may not, give it the kind of consideration that we would if it's truly a county resident. So, we're just putting those 2 things in there, that you do have to be a resident and have standing, and that it has to be originated by somebody who lives here, and it's not, pushed from an outside, like, organization or something that's not a little bit more true to the situation.
So are you asking us to vote on this?
Correct.
Okay.
This is a policy change. This will be added to the reconsideration policy.
It was the last page of the background.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dadgummit, I
Did
knew I
the-
could put this out there.
did
It
our
is.
attorney, the county attorney review this by chance? Was that felt needed or not, or?
No, not in this case, cause
Okay.
it's our reconsideration policy, so it didn't really have to,
It's not changing any state or local
No,
laws. This is
it's,
just,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, since this is reconsideration policy, he didn't really have to look at it entirely. Since this is library policy.
Right.
I didn't want anyone to overturn us in saying that we
No,
overstepped
no, no,
our
no, no,
bounds.
You folks are, I mean,
And is this something that all the libraries are doing, or is this just us
Yeah.
making
a
this
lot of
decision?
libraries, a lot of the other, I mean, I didn't just come up with this myself. This is basically, there are several other county libraries in South Carolina that, in response to some of these national groups that are really starting to raise a lot of issues and fuss with certain books. There are other Pickens County just did this, actually, next door to us.
Who is it deemed residents, or is it property owners? Or taxpayers?
Well,
Good question too.
Well, I mean,
Maybe
Yeah,
we need
I
to
mean,
run
I
things
think it-
past Cliff from now on.
Yeah.
I think it's mainly just meant to be like Oconee County, I mean, if they can get a card,
Residents
if they
or
live,
residents,
work,
whether
own
whether
property,
you're a
that's-
renter or a property owner, you're
Yeah.
still a
but
resident.
what I'm saying is, we have a large portion of our population that have second homes here. Are the people at second homes considered residents because they pay taxes as
Yes.
They're still
non-residents?
residents.
If you live, work,
They're
or
still
own
residents,
property in Oconee County, you get a card as a county
Yes.
resident for free. and
They are
that's what
still
this
residents.
would- That's what this.
Well, wouldn't a group just buy a lot somewhere and become a resident then?
I mean, if they care that much.
If they wanna
guess
go
if
that
they're gonna
far,
go
they
to that
can.
extent, we'll consider their request, but, then they still have to go through the process. I mean, all we're trying to do is circumvent somebody just sending out form letters.
But just
to every
because you
county.
buy a property in Oconee County, like some of the B&Bs and stuff, doesn't mean they're residents, they own property.
Well, that's what I was
But they're
asking.
not residents.
But, so a resident would
Well,
have
but
to
if they
be,
live, work, or own property in Oconee County.
Yeah, what I
like,
was
if they-
asking
if they
is
own a
that the
second home
case?
and they
Yeah.
only live here 6 months a year, they still get a county
So,
card.
but I mean, so an LLC would be considered a resident? Or is it an individual? Because there are companies that own property.
Well, an
That
LLC
aren't residents that own
is
property.
considered an individual as part of what it
That's
was
what
a Citizens
I know that,
United,
but that's
right?
what I'm saying. So there
Yeah.
is a distinction between who are residents
Or,
and, you know.
Yeah, like
do they just need to
Hobby
meet the definition of resident to get a library card?
I'm sorry?
Is it just that they need to meet the definition of resident required to get a library card in Oconee
The
County?
library card is any property.
Well, but this is, it's a library policy,
Yeah, this is a
so
library
Right.
policy.
whatever
yeah.
the definition term is for resident to get a
That is
card.
correct.
Be
So
the
if you
same
work or own
definition.
property in Oconee County, you can get a library card for free as an Oconee resident.
Yeah.
Or, now, I mean, we do have reciprocal agreements with Pickens and Anderson, you get a card for free, but you're not a,
Yeah,
So if Oconee County is that important that some political group is gonna come and buy some property to make residency here, then they're
challenge
residents.
of, a book at the library.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you can pick up a lot in Foxwood Hills, less than $1,000, I mean, honestly.
Right, no, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I was
something that,
thinking,
you know.
yeah.
People are-
Well, so then like Hobby Lobby or Chick-fil-A that tend to be more conservative in some of their viewpoints, they couldn't.
But
They
they can
own a
only
business.
ask, they can't like change the policy,
Well,
all they can do is
honestly,
ask.
And they couldn't get a card.
Right.
Right.
They would have to get
Because
an
it'd be,
institutional card, which is different in our
Right.
policies anyway, honestly.
So maybe
Okay.
even add like eligible for a library card,
Right.
like if you wanted
Yeah.
to define it a little more.
Yeah, I think I think residents, I would say, anybody that's eligible for a library card
yeah.
is, because that would be I think, a better wording of it, because then there's the question of who's a resident and who's not. And you get into that thing, because, you know, that would be my suggestion. is
hence
change
the
that word.
attorney review.
So, well, I don't think it requires an attorney for us to change the wording from residents to.
Well, look at all the
persons.
discussion we're having
Well,
now.
it
But we're the
should,
board, we're supposed to discuss.
it should
Yeah,
be,
That doesn't have
it
anything to do with terms.
should be Oconee County resident and
Disagree.
qualify for a library card.
Right.
Because you just mentioned there,
I was suggesting adding it as well.
because you just mentioned a circumstance in which you could be in Pickens County and still get an Oconee County
So
library card.
residents who qualify, not and qualify.
Yeah.
Oconee residents who qualify
Who
for
qualifies.
a library card.
County County resident.
But that would mean somebody that lives in Pickens County but has a second house in yeah, that would be fine. They would be allowed to do it.
That's still, yeah, they're still residents.
If they
Yeah.
live, work, or own property, yeah.
That's fine.
Who
If they had a second
qualify,
home in Oconee, sure, they could.
but yeah, so just put that clause in there, who qualify for a library card.
So then I'll just read, let me read it and see if this is what everybody's thinking. Change in reconsideration policy to include that the person making the request must be a resident of the county, and that complaints must be originated by Oconee County residents who qualify for a library card. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
So can we vote on this with the changes?
Correct, you can.
All right, is everybody satisfied?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so all is in favor?
I make the motion, you have to get the motion.
Okay, sorry,
first.
sorry.
I
Somebody wanna-
so move.
Okay,
Second.
all right, all
So
in
who,
favor?
wait, who's second? There were lots of them.
Paul.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, we're good. Good.
Oh, it's excitement for your first
I
meeting.
know, I'm so nervous, I'm like thundering it up. I didn't know it was gonna be on. I thought it was next month. Do we have anything for executive session, Blair?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we do need a motion.
I make a
go into
motion to
executive
go to
session.
executive session.
Second.
Do we have to say, to discuss what?
I don't think so, because it's private.
No,
Second.
we still have, it
Uh,
still has to be for some
We need a second.
reason.
He was. Personnel matter.
All right.
The personnel matter.
Is this for a personnel matter? Like, we have to say something specific, I believe.
There's a,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, we have to say one of those.
personnel matter,
Yes,
contractual
yes,
matter.
that's
Well,
what's on
it's in the,
personnel
it's in the agenda, we are doing it to discuss a personnel matter.
Oh, there we go, excellent.
And we have a motion and a second, so did we vote to go into executive session?
I don't think we
We take a
did.
vote to go into
No,
executive
I don't
session?
think we did.
Okay, everybody wants to go into executive session, raise your hand. Go.
Listen, I gotta cook when I get home.
Oh, we all got stuff to do.
I know.
We're back.
I need a motion to come out of.
Madam
executive
Chair, I
session.
move that we come out of executive session and go back into regular session.
Second.
Second,
Hold on, who was the second?
Nivea,
All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No? So that is the end of our meeting.
Make the motion.
Well, what, do we need the motion to adjourn?
Yes,
Yeah.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you, Cliff.
Say all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You sit next to me the next meeting. Thank you. Oh my God.
Good to see you.
I don't like, but thank you for the hats.
I miss mine.
That's your
Good to see you.
outdoor way.
But outdoor, yes, I know it's.
Oh, my jacket.
Yes, I am not out doing any outreach. Thank you. I'm not. Thank you. Yeah, I am not. I'm doing my business and I'm a library.
Yeah, you too, Paul. Again, thanks for volunteering.
Thank you for taking.
Yeah, I was not prepared tonight. I need to review everything.
I know that, yeah. But just after
Thank
that
you.
second motion, just ask, are there any questions or discussions?
Okay.
In the hearing, didn't take. Okay, yeah, that way nobody will call us out.
Okay, thank you.
Y'all had a chance to purchase the.
Listen and learn, that's right.
She has
So I know he hasn't done it
so many things.
in a while, but do you want to?
Believe me, my whole
This
day
is the
on,
only thing I'm doing.
my day, my whole
This
day,
is the only
my whole
thing
day
I'm
on
doing.
Thursday is gonna be uncovered. I've got 2 meetings.
I wish this was my only thing I was
This
doing.
is my job. My
Yeah,
job.
we will be in touch.
Okay, thanks,
We'll be in
Claire.
touch. Tara, thank you.
Because
Welcome aboard.
when you water yourself so much, you're good for nothing. You're not really doing anything.
Well, unless you get paid for it, then you
Unless you're getting paid for it.
Unless you get your own choice. 'Cause
Yes.
Right now,
There's
I'm
not
only
enough
50
stuff
for-
going
But if you
on.
run
You know
it,
what I
if
mean?
you
I
can
just
run
write
it
out.
during
And I don't
your
wanna
work
create
time.
more work, 'cause
You know,
obviously,
your work
we're
time, you know what I'm
radio
saying?
scheduling,
But I don't get paid
doing
for any
Minute
other,
or
I'm
Balance
working on my
starting next
business.
Wednesday.
I'm a single person, you know,
It's gonna be
and I don't wanna
busy,
lose
you
my
know what I
house,
mean?
so
But,
I
but
choose
I
me.
offer that, so, and then I didn't look
But I
today,
just
so
wanted to know
our
if-
annual.
She
And
said
I'll
she
talk to
had
her,
ordered
I'll see her Thursday, so I'll ask her and
She
see
said
what.
she
we
had
can-
I
ordered
got my
requested
bylaws
it.
here, I'll look
So
at
I
them.
don't know.
Look at everything
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, I think.
I
we
was
need-
not prepared. I didn't know I had to be on tonight.
And I'm sorry, I mean, it was, I kind of figured it was gonna be you, but there was no way to forewarn you about this. I had to do it in executive session.
Oh, not that, I'm just talking about even the whole
Oh,
meeting. I
in
didn't
general,
know I was
yeah.
supposed to, because I was like, I was gonna, I need to.
Well, I didn't know who it
Robert's
was
Rules
gonna
of
be,
Order,
I should have said, you know, you're gonna, whoever is gonna, I guess I thought by the agenda, they would see whoever is the chair takes over the meeting, I should have said something out about that.
Well, and, yeah, and so I don't even know, I know I was asked to be vice chair, and I said, no, I'll be this, secretary treasurer again. But so then I assumed she went through the list and asked a lot of people, but I didn't know who was gonna present that, cause I
Right,
heard nothing more on it.
right, yeah, me neither.
Well, I thought it was her and you that were the nominating committee.
No,
No,
I
it
was
was
not.
me and her.
Okay.
And all we knew was that
You were gonna be chair.
That
I was gonna be
Right.
chair, and
And
Cliff
she
got
was
back on, and
And
Yeah.
Babs replaced
But I
her.
guess I thought.
I
you
didn't know
you-
that. I didn't know.
we're
her.
gonna, I guess, I thought y'all were gonna nail
Talk
that.
about it, yeah.
VP.
Well, we didn't.
It's fine, Paul took it, and I mean,
That's
he'll
nice.
do
It's all
I think
good,
that'll
that's
be
good.
He'll
It'll,
do good.
yeah.
It'll be nice to
awesome.
get him a little more involved, cause he's
Yeah.
usually pretty
Exactly.
quiet at the meetings, so it'll be kinda nice to get him involved.
Yeah,
Oh, I
And if he
absolutely.
doesn't wanna be chair, there's nothing in the bylaws
No.
that says it's automatic.
But that was part of our thing, so you don't all of a sudden get someone spanking new that's not.
Well, that's it,
really
like you wouldn't have
involved.
wanted,
Right.
I mean, I'm sure she served on all kinds of things being
Oh,
in academia,
yeah.
but it's not like you wanna nominate Tara, I mean,
Mhm.
hi, first meeting, you wanna be chair?
Right.
You wouldn't do that.
Right.
So,
And that's exactly, no, I guess Allison was on already, but, I mean, I sensed when she became chair, it was like last man standing kind of thing, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I wasn't on yet.
honestly, yeah, really the thing that happened with Allison was the fact that she became chair right when we had that big change, when we had 6 new members.
Oh, yes,
You all
all of
came
us.
on.
Right.
Right,
You all
right.
came on, she became chair because it was like, that was it, we needed somebody that had experience. And
Right.
it was like, her and I think Cliff had only been appointed like the year before, and, you know, he wasn't able to come to a lot of the meetings, we didn't wanna appoint him or ask him to be chair or whatever, yeah, she kinda became chair by default. She did a damn good job.
She
Oh,
did.
Allison's another one of these, honestly, when
quiet.
she first
but
started
they-
coming to board meetings and everything, she was a lot like Paul. Didn't say much, kinda sat back and let stuff happen, whatever.
They are
And for
real-
her to have been chair the last 2 years, I mean, she was excellent. She
Oh,
did
yeah.
a really good job. I meant to say something to her on the way out, but I know we kept everybody kinda late. She was, checking out the
Oh,
door,
I
just
think
like
some of
everybody else, I'm sure, get home and have, something.
Something,
But anyway,
Go ahead.
no, thank you.
Okay.
No, you did a great job.
Yeah,
You
Liz,
know,
no worries.
You'll
Next
know,
Tuesday, call promotion.
yeah, you'll know next time. And it is just, it's basic Robert's rules. I mean, and I try to say,